You are in a car. Everything is calm. The belt rests on your shoulder, doing almost nothing. Then, in less time than it takes to blink, the world stops. And the same strip of fabric that let you lean forward for your coffee a moment ago turns rigid. It holds you. Somewhere inside the reel, a tiny machine just made a decision, with no battery and no screen. Let's slice the seatbelt open and watch it think. Follow the belt down past your hip. It disappears into a slot in the door pillar. Inside sits the retractor, a spool wound with woven webbing, like thread on a bobbin. A flat clock spring keeps a gentle pull, so the belt stays snug across you and rolls itself away when you unclip. Pull it slowly and it feeds you slack all day, without complaint. The whole trick of a seatbelt is hidden in how this one spool decides when to stop turning. A good seatbelt must tell two things apart. Leaning forward to check a mirror is slow and gentle. A crash is violent and instant. The belt has to allow the first and block the second, using no electricity at all. So engineers gave the retractor two separate triggers, each watching for a different kind of sudden. One trigger feels the car, the other feels the belt itself. Either one alone is enough to lock the spool. Let's meet them one at a time. The first trigger watches the car. Sitting beside the spool is a small weighted pendulum, often just a plastic cup balanced on a pin or a tiny steel ball resting in a shallow dish. During normal driving, it hangs straight down, untouched. But hard braking or an impact throws the whole car's motion against it. The weight swings, tipping like a passenger lurching forward. That little tilt is the first vote to lock, and it nudges a small lever upward toward the spool. The second trigger watches the belt. When you are flung forward in a crash, you yank the webbing fast, spinning the spool hard. A small toothed wheel rides on that spool, fitted with a lightweight arm called a pawl held in by a spring. Pull gently and the spring wins, so nothing happens. But a sudden yank spins the wheel so fast that inertia flings the pawl outward against the spring, like a skater throwing their arms wide. That is the second vote. Both triggers end with the same final move. They push a hardened steel pawl toward the rim of the spool, and that rim is cut into a ring of angled teeth, a ratchet. The pawl drops into the nearest gap and wedges there. Now the teeth can only push against it, never slip past it. In a single heartbeat, the freely spinning spool becomes a locked wheel. The webbing that fed out so easily a moment ago can no longer move even a finger's width. With the spool frozen, the belt becomes a fixed strap anchored to the car's frame. Your body, still carrying all of its forward speed, presses into it. Instead of flying toward the dashboard, you slow down with the car, your weight spread across the strong webbing over your chest and hips. The belt quietly borrows the car's crumpling front end as a cushion, stretching the stop over tenths of a second. Those few fractions of a second are the difference between bruises and something far worse. Modern belts add a faster step. The instant crash sensors fire, a small pyrotechnic charge, much like the one inside an airbag, ignites within the retractor. It drives a piston or spins the spool backward in a flash, snapping up any slack and pulling you tight against the seat before the real force even arrives. This is called the pretensioner. It does its whole job in about 15 thousandths of a second, faster than your nerves can register that the crash has begun. But holding you too rigidly can bruise ribs and strain the chest. So engineers add a clever release. Inside the locked spool sits a slender steel rod called a torsion bar. Once the force on the belt climbs past a set point, this bar begins to twist, like wringing out a metal towel. It lets the spool turn just a little, paying out a few centimeters of webbing in a slow, controlled give. The belt firmly holds you and then gently yields. That balance protects your body. This is why your belt feels loose and easy every single day. Reach slowly for the glove box and the pendulum stays level. The spool turns lazily and nothing trips. The lock's only arm under real, sharp motion. It is also why a quick tug jams the belt when you pull it from the reel too fast. You just triggered the webbing sensor yourself. Ease off, let the spool settle for a second, and it feeds out again. The machine was only ever waiting for sudden. One more piece completes the chain. The buckle. Push the metal tongue in, and a spring-loaded bar clicks over a notch, gripping it with surprising strength, enough to hold against thousands of newtons of pull. Yet a single light press on the red button slides that bar aside and lets go. It must never open under crash loads, but must always open afterward with one calm thumb, even from a hospital gurney. Strong when pulled, easy when pressed. That quiet balance is the whole art. So here is the whole chain. The webbing feeds off a spring-loaded spool. 2 triggers watch for danger, a pendulum that feels the car lurch, and a spinning sensor that feels the belt yank. Either one drives a pawl into the ratchet teeth and freezes the spool. A pyrotechnic pretensioner snaps you tight, the locked belt stops you with the car, and a twisting torsion bar eases the peak force. The buckle holds it all together and then opens at a single touch. A strip of fabric, a spool, and a weight that knows the difference between leaning and crashing. No screen, no battery, just patient physics. Waiting quietly for a moment it hopes never comes. Slice open the ordinary, and it is full of quiet genius. This was the Cutaway,